Hello, everyone, and happy Friday night. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. We did have a couple of isolated storms a little earlier this afternoon, late evening. Looks like a lot of that has pushed off east, and tune in tonight. We'll talk a little more about some of the thunderstorm issues that Atlanta's facing at the moment. So a lot of that has shifted, but we'll also go over your first alert weather day. Here's what we're looking at going into Saturday. Strong storms, 80% chance of seeing that across the valley. We've got a cold front moving in alongside this, so that's really creating that that mesh, and it's not taking too well to the record high temperatures that we have. We're pretty close to record high temperatures. Today's high was around 79, and I believe our record for today is about 81. The other day we were 1 degree off yesterday, actually, from hitting a record. So these past couple of days have been above average, but also we've seen some very abnormal weather as far as temperatures go. So now, as this cold front moves in, we're going to have a rougher time with these storms. We're going to deal with a lot of strong wind gusts going into this as well. Sunday is going to be a bit of the same setup. Isolated showers and storms that become a bit more widespread in the afternoon. However, wind gusts will take a back seat for this. So I'll show you what the storm threats are for Saturday in just a moment. I want to get Max caught up. There we go. So like I mentioned, 30 plus mile per hour wind gusts. We're expecting 30 to 40 plus miles per hour and heavy rainfall, of course, with thunderstorms that can be expected. Those are two of the main things we're dealing with. Hail is on the lower end. Right now, what we are anticipating is that our westernmost communities, those folks will see the strongest of the storms for the valley. As it gets into the valley and starts to make its way through, it starts to fall apart and lose that organization. Therefore, areas in the east are not going to see as strong of thunderstorms, but we still will get these strong wind gusts up to about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Hail will be nearly obsolete at that point, but our western communities will have the best shot of seeing some small hail that's likely. And then we move all the way to the bottom. Isolated tornadoes, very low threat as of right now. So that's good to note. The only communities that would have a threat, if any, of hail and at the very smallest isolated tornadoes is our northwestern communities, because it comes in so strong. That's the front of that boundary, that cold front moving in, and it's well organized as it starts to move into the valley. But because our dew points are so warm, our temperatures have been so warm, we have the fuel for that fire to get going, but the dew points would keep it going if they weren't, if they were a touch warmer. That would make things a little more concerning for us. So here's what we're looking at hour by hour. We're going to see, you can see in the front here, and I wish there was a way that you could possibly see that. I don't think you can see my little arrow, but you can see in the front there how organized that front line is, right alongside Limestone County. You can kind of see it track its way through that area. So once it gets into the valley and meshes into the area and we start to see it fall apart, you can look at that back end. It's not as organized even around 2 o'clock. Once we get into the later afternoon, early evening, that's when we start to see this kind of fall apart and push south with those stronger thunderstorms. So if you are planning to maybe head out to Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Central Alabama, they're also under this marginal risk of thunderstorms. So what we're seeing at around noon to 1 o'clock, all the way to, I would say, 2 or 3, they're about to start seeing that around 3, 4, and beyond, and pick it up with those heavy chances of showers and storms going into 7 o'clock. So with that being said, going through the rest of Saturday night, I should say. So going into the rest of Saturday night, we're expecting to see that dissipate, leave us with some overcast conditions and cooler air. Of course, we'll settle into those 60s and some 50s going to Sunday morning. This is picking it up at 12:30 for Sunday afternoon. We'll start to see more thunderstorms, however, this time much more isolated. We're not going to see beyond a strong downpour of rain, and it's not going to be as heavy as we saw from Saturday's passing of storms. Wind gusts will also take a back seat here, and out of Saturday's first alert weather day, we're expecting a very low end range of hail, nearly obsolete on Sunday. Really just kind of our summer storms. Like we typically get those pop-up storms, even the ones that we've seen tonight, very similar to that setup. So going into the afternoon and evening, that starts to pick up a little bit. And models are still getting some consistency going into Monday and beyond for the start of the work week. But once we pick up those umbrellas come Saturday, we're going to need them throughout the rest of the week. We've got showers and storms in and around each day. As you can see, Monday looks like it's a lighter day in comparison to Tuesday. We're expecting to see that heavy rain by that point. Wednesday, we're still looking to see how that's going to play out because we take a sharp drop in temperatures from Wednesday into Thursday. We're thinking another cold front moving in could cause a similar setup because we will see the 80s get back into the forecast by midweek. I believe I've got our 10-day popping up here. There we go. So let's go ahead and take a look at those temperatures and discuss how that's going to look. So like I mentioned, first alert weather day for Saturday going into Sunday keeps our temperatures in the 70s, a little cooler out the door. 50s are expected for Sunday morning and Monday morning. But as we get to Tuesday and Wednesday, 80s zip right back into the forecast. And by Wednesday, with that extra storm chance going into Wednesday, that could be our next contender for a first alert weather day, just because the sheer fact that we drop about 20 or so degrees. 82 from Wednesday, 61 by Thursday. So that causes a little bit of concern just as we look at models and how temperatures are trending at the moment. We really have to pay attention to Wednesday's setup, and we'll have a better idea of what midweek's forecast will look like going into Sunday evening and Monday morning. So we'll have a better look at that by that point. We could even have a better look at this after Saturday's events. I know a lot of times we kind of put things a little on hold when we have the storm prediction outlook on a not so great note for a day or so. We start to sit the other weather events on the back burner for a moment, and then we get straight into the next potential weather maker and change in the forecast, next shift, I should say. That pushes those temperature lows into the 50s and even 40s going into Friday morning. This is around average for us. We're usually in the mid to low 60s around this point. I think actually that's next week, so we do kind of take a step a little warmer to the upper 60s, but by next Saturday, we'll see a 70 possible, but as you can see, that next Sunday, Monday, getting back into the 60s. So with all that being said, I'll be back on air at 10 o'clock, giving you a full look at the forecast. We'll walk back through all of this again. Anything you feel like you've missed, I'll go back through it for you. We even have that storm timeline to anticipate and look into. We'll talk more storm threats. Of course, you can always DM us on Facebook, Messenger, anything of that nature. Leave comments, any questions, concerns. We're here to answer. Jeff will be in tomorrow morning, and then me, Jeff, and Eric will all tag team back and forth for the first alert weather day, making sure that you have up-to-the-minute updates as they come. Getting into Sunday, again, we're expecting a lesser event going into Sunday. Still some storms sticking around, but very lighter, very much on the lighter scale of things. So I'll see you on the other side of the screen at 10 o'clock, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Go ahead and make sure that you start getting prepared for your first alert weather day, and don't forget, daylight saving begins Saturday night into Sunday. We spring forward. Make sure to change those clocks. You'll have a good one.